Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/IDontWorkHereLady. Today we have two great stories. On the first one, a story of a Karen who called on the wrong number, and for dessert, the story about the lady who learned what instant karma is. So let's get started. A single digit makes all the difference. I'm in the military. I've been stationed in quite a few different places around the U.S. and the world. Because of that, I have a cell phone number that's out of area and use it for just about everything. Between that and the occasional work-issued phone, I've never felt the need to have a dedicated landline. However, with my most recent residence, the company I get my internet and cable through had a plan set up where every service came individually, or you could get a bundled box that had cable, internet, and phone. However, there was no cable, internet-only option. Since the phone included bundle was cheaper than a la carte, I said to hell with it, I might as well. I even went ahead and got a cheapo phone and plugged it in. That was my first mistake. Apparently, this phone number was just one number different from a local Domino's pizza place. Fortunately, I didn't have the company put my number on the commercial instead of their own problem we often see here, but I did have one person who managed to call me a few times. Yes, more than once, instead of calling the pizza place. I can only guess that she had tried to program it into a contact entry and only ever went back to the contact each time rather than dialing it outright. The first time the phone rang, I of course picked it up, curious as to who would be trying to call me on a number I hadn't actually given to anyone. That was my second mistake. The conversation should have been simple. Sorry, you have the wrong number. Oh, my bad. Click. Or it's so easy. Given that I'm here now posting this story, we all know that's not what happened. Call 1. Me. Hello? Karen. That's no way to answer the phone for a restaurant. You should identify yourself and your company when you pick up. Me. But this isn't a restaurant. This is my home phone. Karen. Don't lie to me. Now take my order. Click. I hung up. Immediately she called back. Call 2. Me. Hello? Karen. Still with this? What's wrong with you? Me. Oh, really now? She opened the door a buttholery, so I'm more than happy to walk through it. Mentally cracking my thought knuckles, I engaged my finer effery side. Affecting a heavy twang, I said, Hank's Roadkill Cafe. You kill it, we grill it. This is Hank Jr. speaking. How may I help you? Karen. A few seconds of silence. Then, what on earth are you talking about? I just want to order some pizza. Me. That's gonna be a bit of an issue, hun, seeing as they ain't no pizzers running across the road for you to hit. How we gonna grill up a dead pizzer when there ain't no such thing? Karen. This is extremely unprofessional. Let me speak to your manager. Me. Hank. Yeah, Hank. Get your butt over here. Then I hung up, thinking that would be the end of it. Surely no one would think that that performance was a valid phone number for a pizza place. That was my third mistake. About 5 minutes later, she called back. Recognizing the number, I geared up for effery round 2. Call 3. Me. Alfredo's Pizza Cafe, this is Mike. How may I help you? Karen. Wait, I thought this was Domino's. Me. No, this location used to be Domino's, but it was bought by Alfredo. Our prices are a bit more expensive, but what would you rather have? Say a medium amount of good pizza or all you can eat of pretty good pizza? What can I say? I'm a diehard Office fan. Karen. I'll tell you what I want to order. Stop trying to upsell me on things I don't need. She proceeded to launch into a rather lengthy delivery order with more than a few details, none of which I wrote down as I gave and gotchas throughout. Me. Okay, I've rung all that up, and fortunately for you, we're running a special. Half off for any order up to 8 pizzas. The total comes to $63.50. Karen, what? That's much more expensive than Domino's would charge, and that's half off? Me, yes ma'am, but it's the best pizza in the city according to the Scranton Times. Karen, whatever, just get it here ASAP. She yelled her address at me, then hung up without even letting me confirm. 2 hours later, the number pops up on the phone. I mentally prepare myself for yet another round in the ring with this mental lightweight. Call 4. Me. Alfredo's Pizza Cafe, this is me. Karen, sounding more like a banshee crossed with a diesel engine, and she was clearly a lifelong smoker doing her best to yell, Where's my pizza? Me. Oh dear, I'm sorry, our delivery driver wasn't able to make it out to you. While he was out on the run delivering an order at another address, he was held hostage by a strange group of people in a small business park who were having an after-hours office party. By the time he was let out and got back to his car, your pizza was cold, and he was terribly traumatized, so we gave him the rest of the night off. Also, this was never a restaurant number, like I said from the start. Karen, what do you mean this isn't a restaurant? You said you were when you took my order. Me. Yeah, about that. I lied. I cackled with fake maniacal laughter, which only served to enrage her more. Karen. Incomprehensible nonsense punctuated by the word manager at least a couple times. Me. Lady, listen. This isn't a pizza place. It's a home number, and I'm done with you. I hung up and disconnected the phone from the box. The cable system would pop up a notice anytime someone called the line if you were watching TV with the number that was calling, and I got at least a dozen more calls from her that night, plus 2 more the following night. After that, it stopped. Fast forward 2 weeks. My wife and I were in the mood for some pizza, so I suggested picking up from that Domino's. In the intervening weeks, I had done some searching online and found the Domino's with the 1 number difference that was the partial cause of the fun-filled evening, and it seemed like as good a candidate as any to get our dinner for the night. I called the order in as I left work and stopped by to pick it up on my way home. As I was at the register waiting for it to finish in the oven, I recounted the story of what had happened to the cashier. She was floored. The look on her face was priceless. She explained to me that Karen had come into their location like a bat out of hell, looking to cause all sorts of crap, thinking they were the ones who'd done this to her. She refused to listen to anyone explain that they had no idea what she was talking about, not even the manager, and eventually had to be removed from the location by cops and was served with a trespass order. Fortunately, I've not received any subsequent calls from Karen. All told, it was well worth the time I spent on the phone with her. I keep pressing redial. Why do I keep getting the wrong number? And our second story. Lady orders me to let her out of a no parking zone. I have a highly specific job that usually sends me to construction sites where somebody not knowing what I do would say, I just watch the digger load trucks. Of course, it's more complicated than that, but it's not important for the story. My company is usually hired by the owner of the site, not the company, which is actually building there. Because of this, I only have to work with the workers there, but I'm not required to do something else. So, on to the story. I was sent to a construction site in the city with a very few parking spaces nearby. Because of this, the company building there had a deal with the city to declare space alongside the road, usually used for parking, to a no parking zone to be able to store some of their stuff, and had set up signs to make this clear. It was summer at the time and pretty hot. The operator of the digger and I were the only people on site through lunchtime when some lady shouted at me to come to the entrance of the construction site. I had set myself up in pretty much the only piece of shade on the whole site and really wasn't in the mood to leave that spot. So I shouted back at her to tell me what she wants. Turns out she had parked in the no parking zone and hadn't noticed that the workers had set up a movable fence to surround that zone to be able to store their tools there without getting stolen right away. So her car, a Porsche, was almost boxed in as 2/3 of her vehicle was in the no parking zone. She's still shouting at me. After seeing what's going on, I get interested and move on. I get to her, covered in dust, taking my time moving up to her. She was in her 40s maybe, wore high heels and a nice dress, typical businesswoman. The whole time she was shouting to me to speed up and move faster. She was in a hurry. So finally, I'm in front of her. Lady, finally, that took you ages. Now move that damn fence so I can pull out of there. Why would you even box me in? I turn around slowly and look at her car. It would have been easy for me, or even for herself, to move the fence and let her out, but she wasn't very nice, and I wasn't obliged to help her. Me. Sorry, won't do that. Lady. What? Why would you say that? Let me out. Not nice word. Me. I don't work here. I said that standing in front of her, covered in dust, wearing my high visibility vest and my hard hat. Left her speechless for a moment, then all hell broke loose. I was lying. She would get me fired. She would call the police because this was theft. She knew the mayor and all sorts of other things. I just stood there, pretty amused on the inside, just like the operator and his digger who was laughing so loud I could almost hear him over her screeching. While it was amusing to see her go off at this point, I was a bit PO'd too, because I could only imagine how this entitled brat was speaking to people she actually had power over. While she was in her tirade, 2 policemen turned the corner. She must have noticed the grin on my face because she abruptly turned around and saw the 2 approaching her. Lady, finally, someone who can help me. Tell this, another not nice word, to move the fence so I can pull out. The 2 policemen looked at her and then at her car. Finally at me. One of them walked to the vehicle and the other approached me. PM, what's going on here? Me. She ordered me to let her out of the no parking zone, but I don't work for building company's name. I pointed to the big signs where the well-known building company advertised itself to my name tag. I wear one in my high-visibility vest with my company's name on it. The policeman understood pretty fast. These no parking zones are pretty common in the city. He walked over to his colleague, who was the target of the woman now, and said a few words to him. He pulled out a little book and began writing a ticket. Only then did it dawn on the lady that she was in trouble. She still kept shouting that she did nothing wrong because she was boxed in and wouldn't be in the no parking zone if I would have let her pull away. PM, he doesn't work here, and you're parking in a no parking zone. Here's your ticket. He handed her the ticket and moved the fence to let her out. She was standing there a few seconds with the ticket in hand, speechless, then got in her car, gave me the stink eye, and went off. I tipped my hard hat when the two policemen continued their walk and went back to tell the operator of the digger what happened. Had a good laugh after all. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I hope you enjoyed today's stories, and we'll see you again soon.